Right, okay, we're live. So I've absolutely no clue as to seeing whether anyone's here or not. I don't know yet.
You don't have that.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's got the thing at the top.
Can you open it for YouTube or?
I could do just on my other computer. Let's have a quick look. I can have a look. Actually, there's a thing at the top, so that's cool.
Okay. Yeah. See, I'm actually I have a thumbnail. Can you see that? It's kind of hard to see on my phone, but
it's really hard to see. I'm gonna have a look on my.
But it's a like I'm not. It's it's your profile pic. Okay. That's the thumbnail.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like they're using your profile. I'm going to click on it on my phone.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow, we got 2 people watching.
Yeah. So here we are on my phone.
Yeah.
And it says top chat. It says 2 people. I don't know if that's us.
Yeah.
The 2 people means us, but I mean you.
Well, at the minute, I'll just see that.
Hold on. It's actually. I have it on YouTube.
Actually, we got 3 people.
Yeah, so that's cool. But there's actually a delay.
Watching now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
totally
yeah,
cool.
I have that.
Let's have a look here.
Oh, I can see the chat on my phone now. Okay. Because
right. Okay. Yeah, I know that is Linda. Hi, Linda. How you doing? Yeah, we've got 3 people watching now. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
I just had a look on here. I can. I'll probably do this in a minute, but yeah. I just found a way I could probably do the thumbnail. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Download. Right. So. Here we go. Details. Can I edit the thumbnail from here? Let's have a look. Oh, yes, I can. Right, okay. That's going to save a lot of trouble. There we go. Done. Save. Right, okay. We've wasted 3 minutes sorting that out.
You did through YouTube or StreamYard?
I've just done it in YouTube.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. Has it worked?
Let me refresh this.
Yeah, I think it's worked. I think it's worked. Right, okay, that's good. Pie Face is in the chat. Lose signal. Okie dokie. Well, we haven't really properly got started yet because we've had some issues with the thumbnail, but I've just fixed it now. So here we go. So let's get a proper start in now. We've got 3 people watching the live stream now.
Okay.
So we've got 4 now. Yeah. It's been an okay start, but yeah, let's just get straight into it now. So everyone watching after the fact, this is our 40th anniversary celebration of Metallica, and I'm joined by John, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. Hi John, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we got some people in the chat now. Tom, Merciful Metal, how you doing, mate? How's things? And Mark as well. Other Mark. Hasford. How you doing, lads? Right. Okay. So this stream is effectively going to tie in with the Metallica40 series that I've been doing on my YouTube channel. This was going to be like a normal video, not a stream originally, but it was when I was speaking to Trevor Hickey. He wanted to do this kind of thing with me, so I thought, let's do it as a stream. But then, things happened with Trevor, so I couldn't do it with him. But John very, very gratefully accepted to want to do it with me, which I'm really, really grateful for. Yeah, hopefully if this goes well, maybe in the future we can do other bands, maybe with other people. It doesn't, or maybe John again, if you want to do another one with me after this, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. This was really easy to. It's a really cool platform. So as we spoke before, we agreed that we're going to divide it up into different decades, and so I'm going to be doing the 80s and the 2000s, which is 2000 to 2009, and then you will be doing the other decades. So that's 40 years. And that's pretty cool because actually the 80s is there's actually a lot going on in the 80s. This is the band forming. I'm basically going to start with 1981 because that was they formed officially. It was actually was October 28th, 1981. So basically, the way they started out was Lars Ulrich. He's a young guy. He's 18 years old, and he's living in California. And he puts an ad in like a local newspaper, looking for a drummer. And the influences he was looking for, he said, looking for people who can play Diamond Head, Tigers of Pang Tang, and Iron Maiden. So those are all the new wave of British heavy metal bands at that time. So his first response was James Hetfield, and those two guys got together, started playing. They found another, I guess he's a guitarist. His name was wrote down Hugh Tanner, but I guess he wasn't in the band that long. And I know afterwards Dave Mustaine joined, and so at that point, and then they did have a bass player. I think his name was Ron McGovney, or I think he might have came later, but. Anyway, so they started to play together. They're recording demos. And the first song they recorded was Hit the Lights. And we probably all know that from, the Kill 'Em All album. And I think it was Lars. He went to the head of, I think it was Metal Blade Records, because at that time, there's no internet. The metal didn't really get radio play. So people found out about metal, through these compilations, and one of the compilations was Metal Massacre through Metal Blades Records, and I think Lars got got the song on one of the editions of Metal Massacre, and that was kind of how they started. So that's 1981. In 1982, they play their first live performance. That's March 14th, 1982, Radio City in Anaheim, California. And this one they had, and I think at this point in the band it was Lars, James, Dave Mustaine, and Ron McGovney. They started doing pretty well. They actually opened for the band Saxon, so it's a pretty big band. And they recorded a few more demos. So one demo was called Power Metal, another one was called No Life to Leather. Now that one, No Life to Leather, that was the one that got the attention of Johnny Zazula. He was the head of, I think it was Mega Force Records from New York City. And actually, let me rewind a little bit. There's also at one point in time when they were playing in Hollywood, they discovered Cliff Burton at that time as well. This was 1982. He was playing in a band in Hollywood, and they just listened to him play, and they went up to him after the show. They're like, "You want to join the band?" And he was like, "Yeah, cool." So anyway, fast forward. So they get together with John Zazula from Megaforce, and then they kind of goes into 1983. So this was the year Kill 'Em All was released, but they recorded that album in Rochester, New York. That's all the way up north in New York State, near the Canadian border. And at this point, Dave Mustaine, with all of his demons, he's substance abuse issues, he gets fired. He forms Megadeth. We all know how that worked out. Worked out for the better. We got like 2 great bands, but the original title of Kill 'Em All was actually Metal Up Your Ass, which had a toilet with the guy's like hands coming out, and the record company asked them to change it. I think they didn't want to do it, so they changed it to Kill 'Em All, kind of like as a way of like being angry, of like having them having to change the the whole cover and everything. So also at that point, Kirk Hammett leaves Exodus. He joins Metallica, and I said with Dave Mustaine's in Megadeth now, and in that year they go on a tour with the band Venom. So next, 1984, they record Ride the Lightning, release Ride the Lightning. It's a pretty big album. They get signed to Elektra Records. And they start to go on some major tours at this time. They did a tour with the band Tank. This is a band that I don't really know. They did a tour with Wasp and Armored Saint. Okay, so that's 1984. They're starting to get recognition now. 1985, this is kind of like where they pretty much start to make it big. They're invited to play Monsters of Rock at the Donington Park. That's over near you, I guess. And that's in 1985. They played that with Bon Jovi and Rat. And really big show, 70,000 people. They also played California's Day on the Green, another really big show, 70,000 people. And they also, at the end of 1985, they write and record Master of Puppets. And going into 1986, they released Master of Puppets. And that was their like biggest album. This is also the first album that I ever heard from them. I think I found it maybe like a year or 2 years later. It was certified gold. And back then, this band wasn't on the radio. They weren't on MTV. They didn't do any music videos at that time, and I will get to that a little later. But this album was actually certified gold, and that's just by word of mouth. There's just just people being fans. And I actually remember this is kind of how I became a metalhead, because I heard, I was in high school at the time, people talking about this band Metallica, and that's kind of what got me interested. So anyway, 1986, they start tour with Ozzy, and then at the end of 86, they're on tour in Sweden. We know the story, Cliff Burton dies. The driver, I guess he fell asleep. And you know the story. I remember you told it in one of your past videos about how they, like, him and Kirk Hammett, they kind of like drew cards to see who was able to sleep in one of the bunks up front. And that was because Cliff Burton like won that like card pick or whatever. He was the one who ended up dying. So that was a sad day in history. That was another day. Actually, I didn't really know the band very well, but I remember kids in my high school were coming to class with like this black armband. I remember that. So it was kind of a big thing. And then also at that point, slightly later, Jason Newsted joins the band just to kind of help him finish out the tour. So now we're in 1987. So they released an EP called the 598 EP. And I remember I bought that one back then. No, I totally forgot. I was supposed to be showing these albums. But because I have...
No, that's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I have these Metallica, the Metallica CDs from the 80s. So a lot of these I have the CD here.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't have the this one I don't have the cover. Actually. And I have...
that's cool. That's cool. I'll just show this because my dad has got the original. This is like original back in the day when it come out, the vinyl.
Yeah.
I thought I'd just show that, and also just quickly going back to the Ride the Lightning era. My dad's also got this. Creeping Death picture disc, which is cool.
That's a nice one, yeah.
Another OG as well. I just thought I'd show those.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can do the albums. It doesn't really matter.
That's fine. Actually, the CDs from the 80s, I probably like bought these these albums maybe like 2 or 3 times in the past like 30 years. But actually, I lost the covers for those. But anyway, I'm going back. That one you just showed, the 598 EP. I remember. I remember. I was a teenager back then, and that's really nice. Yeah, and I don't have the original CD anymore. I got lost over the years, but that one when I bought it, it was in those like long boxes. They were like that. They come in a cardboard box, and it came in a CD. And I remember buying it. I saw the price, and it's cheap. Here, let me buy this. And that's a killer EP. I know they re-released it, but I mean, it's all cover songs. But I mean, like Last Caress, that's a great song. Helpless. I mean, it's a killer EP, and I think it's almost even an album. It's like 30 minutes long, right? How many songs? It's like 8 songs, or there's like
there's 4 songs. I'll just
it's 4 songs.
See if you can see that.
I just thought it had more.
I think so.
Okay, cool.
Maybe that was Garage Inc. that had more songs, because I know they done another. It'll come up later that they done Garage Inc. and that's got quite a few songs on it. So I guess that.
Well,
that
anyway,
might be the one
I know I bought one back in the late 80s, because that was like one of the kind of like the first when I first started getting into heavy metal. So anyway, let me continue.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where was I? 1987. So released that. They released a VHS. I don't know if you have it. It's called Cliff of Mall. Maybe your dad had it, but I used to have it. I don't have it anymore. It was pretty cool. It had a lot of different like live shows. It's a really cool VHS tape. And at this point, they're getting pretty big. Like, they were supposed to play Saturday Night Live, but they had to cancel it because James ended up breaking his wrist or something like that. 1988, and Justice for All. This is an awesome. Here's another CD I have. Actually, don't have the cover, but awesome. Cool. I bought this back when it came out. I ended up buying it like a second time years later. You have that in mind? Okay, cool.
My dad.
Your dad's here. Cool.
That's my dad's. This obviously is an OG.
That's nice.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was back when like CDs were like starting to get popular here. Anyway, that one I have on CD. And so 1988, that's in Just for All. Now, back then they never released any music videos, but then they decided to do one for the song One. Really cool video. They put in some scenes from a movie called Johnny Got Your Gun, which is an old movie, came out in like 1971, and that really worked well with that song. I really like listening to that song, like hearing those like sound bites with that song. And actually remember the premiere. I think it was premiered on Headbangers Ball, I believe, back in 1988. And since then, they were like a really big band. So after that, 1989. So they are a big band. They get nominated for a Grammy, and they actually lost to. This is like the Grammys. The first year they ever had a category for heavy metal was 1989. I actually remember watching the show, and it was like best metal performance. But I guess the Grammys, like, they didn't know what they're doing, so they gave it to Jethro Tull with Crest of a Knave. And I like Jethro Tull. That's a good band, but they're not. I wouldn't call them a metal band. But Jethro Tull, Crest of a Knave. I've listened to the album. It's not a bad album, but it's more of a rock album. But anyway, that kind of went down in history as being like one of the biggest Grammy upsets in in Grammy history. And then so that's 1989. I'll let you take over from 1990. I don't know.
Yep.
I know they did have some Grammys coming up, but I'll let you take over. So,
well, that's cool. I just wanted to get through a couple of comments. We've had quite a few people in the chat commenting, and
definitely,
I've seen
should definitely address
Metal
comments,
and Pieface put a comment about where was it?
Let me see. I can read it.
Yeah, that's it about Dave Mustaine. Yeah. I think he did co-wrote a couple of songs off Ride the Lightning. Yeah, Cliff's Death. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think you know, when the first Megadeth album, they have a song called Mechanics, and actually I have a little artwork of that right there. But Mechanics is pretty much the same song as Four Horsemen. So, but they've just changed the lyrics. Yeah,
and sped it up massively as well.
Yeah,
so that's cool. Yeah, I see Tom in the chat. This is music in the chat. Remember this? Yeah. Logan. Oh, hi, Logan. Yeah, I know Logan. He's a family member of mine. Black and Hymns. All right, Gordon, how you doing, man? Yeah. And Lilac Fall as well. How you doing, guys? Nice that you could make it. I think that's it for them. Right, let's move on now. Yeah, to the 1990s. So obviously, 1990, the Justice for All album tour ends, and on the 6th of October, they entered one-on-one recording studio in North Hollywood to record the next album. They hired Bob Rock, who at that point had been working with Aerosmith, The Cult, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, bands like that. They hired him to be their new producer, and then they finished recording for that album on the 16th of June. So in 1991, on August 12th, they released the Black Album. Where is it? Here it is. Oops, everybody knows it. There it is.
Yeah.
That's what we did. It's their 5th album. The album was actually mixed 3 different times and cost $1 million, apparently. It had a lot of delays with the release, but when it did get released, it debuted at number 1 in 10 different countries, selling 650,000 units in the United States in its first week. The album brought Metallica massive mainstream attention. Them songs were everywhere back in the day. And it's been certified 16 times platinum in the United States, making it the 25th best-selling album in the country. I mean, you can't really argue with that, even though I know the album gets a bit of slack, but I mean, you can't really argue with that. After that, a documentary was made called A Year in the Life of Metallica. No, a year and a half in the life of Metallica. That documented the making of the Black Album and also the subsequent tour that they had after that. The tour lasted 14 months, and the band played across the world, including the first ever show in Moscow, first ever open air show in Moscow. So moving on to 1992, Metallica performed.
Actually, sorry to interrupt. That was.
That's cool. It's cool.
No, I just want to say that that tour in '91. That was also the first time I ever saw them live. I actually saw them in. Yeah, I saw them on that tour in. I think it was 1991 on that in New York State. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So great show. Okay.
Oh,
sorry,
just to see. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. It's just that's cool to add. I see Mark G with a C joining the chat. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I have the chat open too. I can see it on you.
Yeah. This is music says, the 90s. Yeah, this is where it's going to start to get a little downhill, but still, it is what it is. It's Metallica. It's what happens.
So far, it's good.
That's cool. This is music says I saw them on the Black Album tour as well. Support acts for Merciful Fate, Gun, and Suicidal Tendencies. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Pieface just said, yeah, those two songs, Ride the Lightning and Call of Cthulhu, are the ones that Dave Mustaine co-wrote. Yeah, so let's move on to 92. 92, Metallica performed at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. Yeah, I'm pretty certain they done. Oh God, I can't remember the song now. Oh well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I remember seeing clips on YouTube of them playing at that. Yeah, on August the 8th, 1992, during a co-headlining stadium tour with Guns N' Roses, James suffered second and third degree burns to his arm and his face and his hands and his legs as well. Yeah, I believe that was to do with the pyrotechnics. There was a pyrotechnics mix-up during Fade to Black, and he just walked straight into a 12-foot flame. And yeah, but apparently, according to this, 17 days later, they returned to the stage with Metal Church guitarist John Marshall replacing James on guitar, but James also sang as well, which is pretty cool. 1993, Metallica went on the Nowhere Else to Roam tour, playing 5 shows in Mexico City. Live Shit, Binge and Purge was the band's first box set, obviously live album that they released at the time. The collection contained 3 live CDs, 3 home videos, and a book filmed with all sorts of cool stuff. That's it. Mark's got it. Stone Cold Crazy. That was it. They performed that song at the Freddie Mercury.
I used to have that single. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was a B-side to one of the cassette singles that I used to have. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
1994, Metallica played at the Woodstock 94 before returning to the studio to work on their 6th album. In 1995, they went on a short hiatus, played a couple of small tours, played a couple of outdoor shows. After that, they just sort of took a massive break to focus on the release of their album after that, which was Load. And I've got it here. There it is.
Cool, yeah.
Released on the 4th of June, 1996. They spent almost a whole year writing material for the album. And the album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and the ARIA charts.
Yeah.
It was the band's second number 1 album. It sold 680,000 copies in its first week. The cover art on the front, obviously the album cover, was created by Andreas Serrano, who pressed a mixture of his own semen and blood together between sheets of plexiglass to make that. I mean, it's cool art, but it's a bit weird. That's a little bit strange to me, but whatever. That's what he did, apparently. However, long-time fans were not into the band's new style, and their image caused a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict between the OG fans and the new style that they had going on. It is what it is. I don't mind that album. It's a pretty cool album, to be fair. Some pretty cool songs on it.
Yeah.
And also in that year, they headlined the Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza, which is I think that's like an alternative rock kind of thing.
It is. I didn't see that show, but I saw that concert back in 1992. It had like all those grunge bands like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, 9 Inch Nails, I think, or Rage Against the Machine. But it was a Ministry. It was a good show. Okay. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, that's cool. In 1997, because because they wrote so much material, they decided to release it as a double album. So in November the 18th, they released Reload, which I've got up here.
Yeah.
But
This one actually, this one I haven't seen it. Yeah, here's Reload. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yep, nice one. Saves me having to get up
it.
and get it. That's cool.
Yeah, this is the one I bought back in the day. Yeah, pretty cool. Has lots of picks in the book.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Got some okay songs on it. Again, it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and reached number 2 at the top of the Canadian album charts.
Yeah.
It went 3 times platinum, selling 436,000 copies in its first week. They performed at the NBC Saturday Night Live to promote the album. Yeah. I like what Mark just said about load. He just said load of shit. Oh, come on, Mark. It's not that bad. It's all right, but yeah. Oh, dear. It's not that bad. Come on. Oh, well. Yeah, so in 1998, that was when they released Garage Inc. on the 24th of November. It's a double covers album, with this 2 being their previous covers EP, Garage Days Revisited, along with some extra B-sides. It took just under a month to record. It hit number 2 on the Billboard 200, and they played a couple of shows to support the album. That's one I've never got. Have you ever listened to that one, or?
Yeah, I've listened to it. I don't have a physical copy. I have a digital copy of it, but it's pretty good. They do some King Diamond copies, some covers. I'm sorry. They do some different stuff. They, like Turn the Page is the Bob Seger song. They do Leonard Skinner, Tuesday's Gone. You know, they do a lot of different stuff. They did Thin Lizzy. That was kind of a minor hit with a Whiskey in the Jar.
Whiskey in the Jar, yeah. And No Leaf Clover as well. I think that's one they still play live as well today.
No, actually, I think No Leaf Clover was from the S&M.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was. Hang on.
No Leaf Clover was from the S&M, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, actually, I've written that in my notes, so I probably should have known that. But that's cool. Actually, yeah, that brings us on to that 1999. They performed with the San Diego Symphony Orchestra, and they released S&M. Yeah. And they played a lot of orchestral versions of Metallica songs, including two new songs, No Leaf Clover and Human.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think I have heard Human. I think that's actually a pretty cool song, pretty heavy. It entered the Billboard 200 at number 2, and in the Australian charts and top internet album charts at number 1. It sold 300,000 copies in its first week, and is now, of present day, sold over 8 million copies. This is another one I haven't really listened to that much. Have you listened to it, or has anyone listened to it in the chat?
This is the S&M album.
Yeah, S&M.
Yeah, this one I've listened to it a little bit, but it's not one I go back to a lot. I'm not really into that like symphonic stuff. I mean, it depends. If it's like the symphonic bands, if they do it well, but I think it's not one I go back to a lot. Yeah. But it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the end of the 90s. After that, they it's kind of the beginning of the band starting to get a little bit of turbulence, leading into 2000. So, John, take it away with the 2000s.
Okay, cool. The 2000s, that was kind of like a pretty difficult decade for them, at least in the beginning. So in the year 2000, they started off, they recorded a song called I Disappear for one of the Mission Impossible, I think it was the first Mission Impossible movie for that soundtrack.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
And what happened is that song leaked on the internet. This is back in 2000. There wasn't a lot of file sharing was still kind of like in its infancy. And that song leaked on Napster, and I think they found out because they heard some radio stations playing it. So Metallica found out about this whole thing on Napster and people, sharing their music. And they filed a lawsuit, and then it became this big deal of Metallica versus Napster. It was kind of the big thing at that time. And, in the end, it worked out. I think Napster ended up becoming like a streaming service now. I know Napster is available in the U.S. It's not available outside the U.S., I don't think, but it's some kind of like streaming. And so that's the year 2000. Now, 2001, Jason Newsted leaves Metallica for personal reasons. And basically, I think he wanted to do different stuff. So he had a band called Echo Brain. I think I've maybe listened to it once or twice, but it's not a metal band. It's more like an alternative rock band. So he did that. James Hetfield goes into rehab in July. And he doesn't really come out until December. So in 2002, this is when the band starts to record a new album we all know as Saint Anger. But it was kind of a difficult process because part of his rehab responsibilities was he had to spend like a certain amount of time with recording and then a certain amount of time with the band. Oh, cool, you got that. This one actually don't. That's like the ones I don't have.
Yeah, I don't blame you for not having it. To be honest with you, I don't blame you.
And I'll be honest. I remember when it came out. So when the first single came out, I actually thought it was pretty good. I mean, I thought it was like really heavy. I think the whole thing with that was, they released those Load albums in the 90s, and then, people saying that they went soft, and they're trying to think, oh, let's try to go really heavy now. But at that time, the band was going through so many problems. I think they just couldn't get it together. And so actually where I'm in, this is like 2002. I'm in 2003 now. So we're talking about Saint Anger coming out. And, when this came out, even like there were like some, it didn't really get horrible reviews. I mean, so there were some magazines that said it was a pretty cool album. It was like raw. I think over the years, people, started to realize that it really wasn't a great album. And I think the whole thing is like the production with that like trash can drum sound. I think, It would I think if like they ever like re-recorded that album and just like cleaned up the songs, maybe like had some better production, added some solos, I think it would be a decent album. But anyway, I'm going off track. So 2003 and Saint Anger, it debuted at #1. It was a big album, sold a lot. Yeah. But it was kind of like the time, back then, new metal, that whole sound with like they tuned the guitars down to like a C tuning, and they had that really low sound, and that was the sound of the time. So I think like people didn't really hate it at first. It just it just didn't really age well. But anyway, so let me move. 2004. Actually, they won a Grammy for Saint Anger, the song, in 2004. They played Download Festival, and since the band was going through so many problems, I know I didn't mention that, but they all those problems they were going through, they recorded a movie called Some Kind of Monster, a documentary. That one came out. I didn't write it down in my notes, but I think 2003. Anyway, 2004, they're playing Download Festival. Lars Ulrich, he has to go to the ER because he has like this really bad like anxiety attack. And this is actually interesting, something I didn't know, I just learned. When he had to go to the ER, and on that festival, the bands that were playing Slayer and Slipknot. So Dave Lombardo and Joey Jordison, they actually took over for a couple of the songs each. And I think one of the drum techs took over for another song. So I thought that was pretty cool to learn about that. And 2005, basically they were inactive. I think they played like 2 shows. They opened for the Rolling Stones in San Francisco for like maybe 2 or 3 shows, but otherwise, they basically took the year off. They spent time with their families. 2006, and this is the band. They start writing Death Magnetic. They start getting ready for that. Now, on this one, they announced they're no longer going to work with Bob Rock. They're going to work with Rick Rubin. And, he's a big name. He's done Red Hot Chili Peppers and Slayer and many other bands. They released a DVD of their videos from 1989 to 2004. And they record a song called Ecstasy of Gold, which I believe was on the, it says 2006. And I know they begin a lot of their concerts with that. It's a Ennio Morricone tribute album. So that was on one of their albums, 2007, and actually won a Grammy for that particular song on that tribute album, that Ecstasy of Gold. That's pretty much all that happened in 2007. 2008, this was when Death Magnetic came out, and this was like a return to form for them. They returned to that thrash metal song. You have that one, actually, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this album a lot.
Really cool album. Cool album.
Yeah, I mean, the songs are really good in this one. And kind of was a return to form to them. And I know, at this point, I think there were some Metallica fans who were like, didn't really want to give it a chance. But I think it's a really great album. And this one, I actually saw them in Mexico City, but that was years later on this tour, which is 2012. And really great show. This was like maybe one of my favorite performances of Metallica. Actually, I saw Metallica like 4 times in my life, and this might have been my favorite show. I think they gave a really great performance in that one. And so anyway, 2009, they're inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Jason Newsted, he actually came to the ceremony and he played with them. He was actually on stage, and I totally skipped over the point when Robert Trujillo joined the band in 2003. He was, I totally skipped over that, and but he was on stage as well. Yeah. And also at the induction ceremony, Cliff Burton's father, he accepted the award on his behalf, so that's really cool that happened. And that's about it for the 2000s to 2010. So I'll let you take over, or if you want to check the chat. Let's see who's in the chat. Yeah.
Well, I've just been having a look in the chat. I've just been replying as you've been talking, to be honest.
Cool. Yeah, safe. Yeah.
We got some people in the chat. This is music saying, Metallica is a comedy band that mixes Metallica and the Beatles. Okay.
I've heard them. It's very cool. So you should check. You should look them up on streaming, and I think they have a new one coming out. It's interesting. They really do it really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Tom, he fucking left the fucking band, man. Oh, that's great. One of the best Lars Ulrich quotes. He fucking left the band, man. Exclamation point. Oh, I love that. Right. Okay. So let's move on to the 2010s. Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax, all, the big 4 thrash.
Yeah.
All played on the same bill for the first time. I've actually got the DVD. I'll just show it quick. This is live in Sofia in Bulgaria. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you're going to see that very well.
Yeah. There's one where like all the members get together and they play Am I Evil?
Yeah. That is really, really cool. Yeah. They all sort of, even like they get Joey Belladonna, he does a verse, and Dave Mustaine does a verse, and pretty cool. I like the way, but the only thing with that is that Kerry King and Tom Araya could not give a crap about being there. they're like the only 2 that are not there. All the others are. It's quite fun. so they played that all across Europe in 2010. And also the World Magnetic Tour come to an end, and they released a couple of EPs of some live shows around that time. They must be pretty rare. 2011, the Big Four came over to the United States and obviously played a couple of tours. Then I already saw Tom mention it not that long ago. October 31st, they released that collaborative album with Lou Reed, Lulu. Yeah, it was recorded.
I never even listened to that.
No,
I never bothered to listen to it.
Well, everyone says it's awful, so it might not be worth a listen, really. Everyone says how bad it is. It wasn't really well received by anybody, critics or music fans, Metallica fans. No, nobody really liked it. So yeah, not an album that I'd want to check out.
Yeah,
but yeah. So after that, in December, they played a couple of shows to celebrate their 30th anniversary. They got a whole load of famous musicians to play with them on stage. And then on December the 13th, they released an EP called Beyond Magnetic.
Yeah, that's
which
pretty cool.
Is a couple of tracks that didn't quite make Death Magnetic. I think it was originally released only on digital, but then in 2012, on January the 30th, they released it on physical format. That's one of the very few Metallica sort of EPs or other things that I haven't got by Metallica that I do want to get. I'd like to check that out because I did really like Death Magnetic. Metal Mickey's in the chat. Hey man, how you doing? Glad you could make it tonight. Right. So 2012, on the 7th of February, Metallica announced that they'd start a new music festival called Orion Music and More, which took place on the 23rd and the 24th of June in Atlantic City. On the 9th of June, Metallica headlined a Download. And in November, they left Warner Brothers Records and launched their own independent label called Blackened. This label has produced everything they've done from 2012 to now. Pretty cool. On December the 10th, they released a live DVD called Quebec Magnetic. It was filmed back in 2009, where they were performing on the World Magnetic Tour. Again, I have that right there.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
pretty cool. They play a lot of Death Magnetic. This was kind of got me into Death Magnetic. When I heard it, I thought, oh, damn, that album's actually pretty good. But they play a lot of a mix of like Death Magnetic and then a lot of the old stuff as well. It's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. 2013, on September the 27th, they released a 3D thriller concert film called Metallica Through the Never. They also released a soundtrack to the album as well around that time. The soundtrack is from 2 Metallica shows performed in 2012 in Vancouver and Edmonton. I've actually never seen the film. I've seen little bits of it where they're sort of playing at a show and then it sort of cuts and then there's this guy backstage and it sort of follows his kind of story. It's a strange concept for a film, really, where Metallica are sort of playing and then it just cuts and it's backstage, this guy, and lots of weird stuff happens with this roadie, this Metallica roadie. It's very, very strange. And then after that, they performed Kill 'Em All in its entirety to celebrate its 30th anniversary. On the 8th of December, they played a show in Antarctica and they called it Freeze 'Em All. and with that they become the first band to play on all 7 continents around the world, that's just unbelievable, really. The performance was filmed and released as a live album as well. I think it's on YouTube. I think you can see it on YouTube.
The Antarctica, I've seen it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember when it came out. I watched it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Lulu in charity shops. Oh, that's quite funny. That's funny. Mission to Lars. I've never heard of Mission to Lars. Never heard of that.
No, I never heard of it either.
No idea. Right. Okay. Let's move on to 2014. In January, Metallica performed at the 56th Annual Grammy Awards. In March, they began a tour called Metallica by Request, in which fans requested the band's set for the night, which I think is actually really, really cool. That's a really cool idea. I don't think anyone's ever really done that. Yeah. I don't believe anyone's ever done that before.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Metallica have always sort of, especially over the last 10 years or so, they've always sort of done a lot of things like that, what no one else has ever done, which I think is really commendable to them, really, for testing the boundaries and seeing what, doing things that no one else has ever tried. I think that's really, really cool. Okay, so in June of 2014, they released a song called Lords of Summer, and was written for upcoming concerts that they had, and they released it as a first take demo. This was later perfected on Hardwired on the bonus deluxe edition. They recorded it properly. It's actually a pretty cool song. Also in June, the band headlined at Glastonbury. I remember watching this as a kid. I was just about getting into Metallica around this time, sort of 2013, 2014. And I remember watching that, and really, really cool. And then also they performed at the closing ceremony of BlizzCon as well. I have no idea what that is, but they performed at that. I'm just reading the comments there. Okay. So in 2015, in March 2015, they headlined Lollapalooza for the second time, almost 20 years after they'd headlined it for the first time. And on the 2nd of May, they performed at their 3rd annual Metallica Day at the AT&T Park. Metallica also performed at X Games for the first time in X Games Austin 2015. And on June the 14th, James and Kirk performed they performed the Star Spangled Banner prior to Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors at Oracle Arena in Oakland, California. On the 2nd of November, Metallica played the night before the Super Bowl at the AT&T Park. Will they ever be able to play at the proper Super Bowl? Christ knows.
I hope so. I mean, the Super Bowl has had a couple of rock bands, like the Who played. I know the Rolling Stones, but I think Metallica should play.
They're definitely big enough to play, and they're definitely, it's just funny. Like over the last couple of years, they've had these sort of proto, not even proper real rock bands that play, and they think, oh, let's have a cool rock show. It's like, if they wanted to have a cool rock show, just get an actual rock band to play. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous, but I mean, there you go. That's today. Today's whatever. Yeah, that's what they blooming do. Aaron, hi Aaron, how you doing, man? Yeah, there's lots of. Tom says, did we mention Napster? Yes, we did. We did earlier. Talked a little bit about Napster and that whole saga. This is music says, I'll just have them play Battery all night. Yeah, that is an absolute banger. I love that song. Yep. That's cool. Right, okay, so let's move on to 2016. Quite a lot happened in 2016. On the 20th of August, they performed at the opening of the United States Bank Stadium with Avenged Sevenfold and Volbeat as support acts. On November the 18th, they released their 10th and latest album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Yep. Have you got it? That's good.
Yeah, I got it.
That's you having to do it.
Yeah, I got this today. When it came out.
Oh, that's cool.
I like this. I like this a lot. I go back to it a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool album.
Yeah.
I remember when it first come out, and I used to play it a lot. It debuted at number 1 again on the Billboard 200, selling 291 copies in the first week. It was also the longest gap between studio albums in the band's history. I think it was 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. Oops. Just knocked them over. Oh, well. It was produced by Greg Feldman. Fedelman. Yeah, Greg Fedelman. It took over a year to record because I remember they had a couple of issues with recording. Didn't Kirk lose his phone and he lost all the riffs that he had on his phone, so he couldn't contribute to the album.
Yeah, he had an iPhone. So he lost a bunch of riffs.
Yeah, he lost everything. So basically, it was James and Lars had to do the whole thing pretty much. Also, I thought this stat was absolutely unbelievable. With that album, Hardwired, Metallica became only the second band in history to have 6 consecutive albums debut at number 1. I can't remember what the first band was. Probably the Beatles, probably. But for Metallica to be in that kind of company, only 2 bands have had 6 consecutive albums debut at number 1. That's just you can't really argue with that. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty cool album. 2 albums. As far as sales, because 2 discs. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I guess because it was a double album, I suppose. Hardwired was considered a double album. I guess that's what you mean. Hardwired is decent. Yeah, Hardwired's decent. I think it's a pretty good album. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as their other albums. I think Death Magnetic's a little bit better than it, but I mean, it's all right.
I think with Hardwired, like the first disc is just solid all the way through. The second one has maybe some filler on it, like Confusion, Mankind. Those are okay, but the last song on Hardwired, Spit Out the Bone, that's like one of my favorite Metallica songs, probably their best, since the Black Album. I mean, that's one of the best songs ever. Spit Out the Bone, it's an awesome song. But the second side, it is kind of filler. The second disc. Yeah. The first disc is very solid with Hardwired, Atlas Rise, Not or Dead, North into Flame, Dream No More, and Halo on Fire. Those are all great songs. It's just that second side, but anyway.
Yeah. I think Halo on Fire is definitely an underrated song.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it at first, but then the more I heard it, the more I just absolutely loved it. And it's a great. I think it's a pretty solid album. That first half is really, really great.
Yeah, the whole first disc.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the time between 2017 and 19. because they pretty much during that time they just was on tour pretty much on the worldwide tour. That was what I saw them on. I got my worldwide tour T-shirt on. Yeah. So they got bands such as Avenged Sevenfold, Volbeat, and Gojira to be their support acts for some nights.
Yeah,
the tour last quite a few years. Still ongoing.
I actually saw one because they launched their tour in Mexico City, and I probably saw maybe like the third or fourth date. The opening act was Iggy Pop, kind of like a different kind of act, but he opened, and another local band from Mexico. I have the ticket stub. You can't. That's right there. You can't see it really well, but that was also the show. It was the first time they ever played "Dream No More" live, so that was a pretty cool show. And in Mexico City, they always do like a whole run of shows because they sell out. So I think they played maybe 3 or 4 nights in a row. So really great concert. So continue.
Cool. Yeah. Mark says Hardwired is decent. So if Mark says it's decent, then it must be decent. They have a video clip for one song, Imitating Mayhem. Who's that?
I think it was Man Unkind, I believe. Because on this album, they released a music video on YouTube for like every song.
Oh, yeah.
And on one of the, I believe it's Man Unkind, or it might be, on that song, they kind of like had some people dress up as like a black metal band, and there's like a lot of blood and whatnot. Oh. It's pretty cool if you like look up these videos on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah. Tom's just confirmed that. Right. Okay. So let's move on. The tour is the worldwide tour lasts quite a long time. It's actually still ongoing. They're still finishing off shows right now. But they never got a chance to finish. But,
cancelled.
Yeah. On the 7th of August, Metallica played at the 5th annual Metallica night, and Kirk and James performed Star Spangled Banner again. In late 2017, they launched their own charity called the All Within My Hands Foundation, which is actually a song of St. Anger. It's built on creating sustainable communities by supporting workforce education, fight against hunger, and other critical local services. I think they do a lot as well for like getting kids that haven't, they give opportunities to kids that haven't got an opportunity to get into music. They give them that opportunity. I think they do something like that as well, where they fund or they help fund or give, they basically give money, so then kids that haven't got the money, they can basically go buy an instrument, learn an instrument, and be a musician, or so then they can learn Metallica Kids. That's it. Tom's got it. Tom's got the knowledge tonight. That's it. And they basically they give, or they give money to disadvantaged families, so then they have an opportunity to play music and learn music, which is cool. I couldn't find anything for 2018 because I think they were just flat out touring. 2019, on the 1st of February 2019, Metallica released an acoustic live album called Helping Hands. Acoustic Live was recorded from an acoustic set that Metallica played in aid of their All Within My Hands Foundation. And I think I remember seeing something on YouTube about that. I think they played All Within My Hands, but they done like a obviously an acoustic version of it, a completely different version of the song.
It's an album. I mean, you can listen to it on streaming sites. They do that. They have an acoustic version of the Four Horsemen, which kind of sounds a lot different, but it's pretty cool. And they did a lot of their ballads as well. But, It's a good album if you want to look it up to check out.
Yeah. Oh, Tom says I was joking. Is that well? Maybe it's not exactly true, but I know they do have something like that where they do a something like that. I'm just gonna have a quick look it up. Kids charity. Have a look. Oh, that's it. Yeah, Little Kids Rock benefit thing that they do with yeah. I think that's it, and it's part of the All Within My Hands thingy. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they do stuff like that where they do perform. They do perform with some really talented kids for them shows. I think they done for that one, for the Helping Hands thing. But yeah, something that I probably should have done a bit more research on, really. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's nice that Metallica actually do something like that. They've got the platform to do something like that, which is cool. But yeah, so moving on, in early September 2019, Metallica performed with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra again for the opening of San Francisco's new Chase Center. Also to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the first S&M. It was entitled S&M 2 and was released in theatres on the 9th of October. It features a similar set to the first S&M, but they obviously, because they've got a couple of albums out since then, I think they used a couple of new they basically recreated some new songs of their more recent albums. So I think they did All Within My Hands, and they done the Unforgiven 3. And I'll tell you what, that version of the Unforgiven 3 is unbelievable. It's absolutely fantastic, because it's basically the whole orchestra playing the song and James just doing the vocals. It's brilliant, really is brilliant. So they do, and then I think they go on later on to release it. In September the 27th, Metallica announced that James Hetfield had re-entered his rehab. I think he had a lot of alcohol issues again. They all sort of sprung up again. I don't know if it had anything to do with the anniversary of Cliff Burton passing away. I think that might have had something to do with it, and it just went a little bit downhill and needed a bit of time to sort himself out. And because of that, they had to postpone their Australia, New Zealand tour dates with Slipknot, which was that would have been gutting, because I love Slipknot. That would have been awesome. Slipknot and Metallica on the same bill. That would have been incredible. But their future shows after that was all postponed to help with James's recovery. I'm looking. He says Metallica Kids sounds better. Yeah, maybe they should have called it that. I don't know, but I'll have to do some more research on that. So now we're gonna go 2020 to present. I thought I'd just do that because there isn't really a lot to say here, but in 2020 all their shows and their tours all got cancelled because something happened that caused them to not be able to play. On the 10th of August, Metallica played a show at the, oh my God, I'm going to butcher this. See, everyone's gonna now know how, like, when I do these kind of videos with reading from a script, everyone's gonna now know how many times I like why I edit, because I make a complete ass of it. Right. They played a show at the Gunlach Bunshu Winery in Sonoma, California. probably butchered that, but some winery in California, basically, which was only attended by a couple of crew members. It was recorded and played in drive-in movies across the United States and Canada on the 29th of August. On the 28th of August, the day before, the band released the S&M 2 performances as an album, DVD, and box set. And then into 2021, not a lot going on here, but on Labor Day, the band's All Within My Hands Foundation raised $377,000, which is awesome. And in late September 2021, Metallica started performing again. They're going to go around and start finishing off them tours that they should have done last year. They also performed at the Global Citizen Festival in September 2021 after they were meant to do that last year, but couldn't. I think I did see a couple of clips from that. They did release a couple of songs that they performed on the Global Citizen. Yeah. And then the last thing, they've been supposedly working on their upcoming 11th studio album since 2019, but plans to have it finished and released by this year has been put back. But we're hoping that it will get released next year, and then they can start a new chapter in their story and continue on their legacy. And that is pretty much their whole story. We've been going just over an hour and 11 minutes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
As Pie Face says, metal is the devil's music, so rock sounds more PC. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually quite, Mark. Yeah, they must have done James a world of good coming out of rehab and then playing a show at a winery. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I like that. That's a funny comment.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if James was sort of looking over and thinking, ooh, should I? No, James. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Have you got anything to add? Anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered everything, and I think I mentioned everything I wanted to as I go along. It would be cool if they released an album next year. You know, I know they've been working on it, and I've seen they've dropped a few comments here and there over the years, saying that it's going to be a heavy album, but you never know with this band. Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think that'd be cool. Yeah. I'm always excited when some of my favorite bands are going to be working on new music. It's always a really cool, fun time. Yeah.
To sort of, you kind of speculate on how it's going to sound, what it's going to be like. Always have that hope and expectation that it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't deliver on that, but I mean, I don't know. You kind of just have to take it for what it is, whatever they create, and see what it is really. See whether they can still do it or not. But maybe they can make a really, really, really great album to rival their early stuff if they really put their mind to it. Maybe they can. You never know. I think that's really exciting. That's really cool. Here we go. This is a good one. But This Is Music. It's just said, what is everyone's favorite songs by Metallica? That's a hard one.
I can kind of do it album by album. So with Kill 'Em All, I'd say Seek and Destroy. With Ride the Lightning, basically the whole album. But Fade to Black would be one that stands out for me. Master of Puppets is another one, the whole album pretty much. But Master of Puppets, Disposable Heroes, I love that. And the two bookend tracks, Battery and Damage Incorporated. Again, and Just for All I love all the songs, but one I love, Dyer's Eve. That's a really great, underrated song. And after that, Black Album, I love Enter Sandman. I love Through to Never. That's a cool, heavy track. And then after that, the Load albums. On Load, I like Mama Said. I like Wasting My Hate. That's a great song. On Reload, let me see. Fuel is a great song. Memory Remains is a great song. And I like Attitude's is a good song on Reload. Saint Anger, I will admit the first few singles like Frantic and Saint Anger are decent. It's just kind of like the whole album for me. It's kind of like a hard listen if you go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where am I? So Saint Anger, Death Magnetic, Cyanide. I love that song. The first time I heard it, I saw him live, and I really love Cyanide. And pretty much that whole album. And with Hardwired, as I was saying before, Spit Out the Bone, one of my favorites of all time. But Moth into Flame is a great song. Atlas Rise is another great song. So that's for me. I don't know if you want to run through yours. Yeah.
Well,
if you could just do it by memory if you want.
It's there is a lot to choose from. I've actually on the subject of this, I've actually got a video coming out in November going through my top 25 Metallica songs. Yeah. And quite interestingly, I've done it a little bit different. I do mention it in the video, but I'll just mention it here quick, that I could easily just pick songs from the first like 4 or 5 albums, but I wanted to do it a little bit different. And my top 25 list is conspired from having at least one song from each album. Yeah. So basically I went and picked my favorite song off each album, and then sort of picked like second best, third best, and then sort of narrowed it down. So there's at least one song off every album. So I'll just put it like that. But so I won't give too much away, but obviously some of the classic songs like Master of Puppets, it's unbelievable. Blackened, I saw Mark mention Blackened, bloody brilliant song that. Damaging, Fade to Black, Tom's put Peace Sells. I think that's the wrong band. I don't know. I'd have to. You'd have to wait until my top 25 Metallica songs comes out to see what my favorite is. Let's just leave it as that for now. Let's see. What else? What's everyone saying? I saw a couple in here. Tom put Metal Militia. That's cool. Black and Him says anything of Garage Days. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair enough. Master of Puppets, Metal Militia, Shortest Straw. This is music. That's a brilliant shout. Shortest Straw is a real underrated song. Yeah. Damage Inc. Bread Fan. Okay. Leper Messiah.
Yeah, Bread Fan was on the 598 EP. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was, unless it was a B-side. Yeah. Actually, it might have been a B-side to one. I gotta look. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'll just Tom in the chat has just put James wanted to call the band Leather Charm. Yeah. No, I think Metallica's are better. Well, technically it was Lars's band, so yeah. I guess Lars must have come up with Metallica and thought, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool band name, man. I can't do Lars Ulrich very well, but yeah, that's my best Lars Ulrich impression right there.
Yeah, Trapped Under Ice, Black and Hymns,
Yeah.
mentioned that's a great underrated song.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I done a cover of that on my YouTube channel.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That was quite an early one actually. I think that was around this time last year. I done that. Pretty cool.
And yeah, actually, Mark, you would see Brett Fan was a B-side of Harvester of Sorrow. But I remember I had that cassette single many years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Jump in the Fire. Yeah, Jump in the Fire is great. That's a great song.
That's probably like my second favorite off of Kill 'Em All, after Seek and Destroy.
Yeah, that's such an awesome riff. I think Dave Mustaine co-wrote that one. I think he actually wrote it.
He probably wrote it. It's a really fast. It's a complex riff.
Yeah. It's really, really awesome. Oh. Right. Okay. Well, we're coming up to an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, do you think we should? Unless there's anything else anyone who wants to talk about, or anything else anyone's got to say.
Yeah, well, I don't know if anyone comments come up, but people are saying No Remorse, Phantom Lord, Merciful Metal just mentioned. Those are good ones.
Yep. Yeah. Kill 'Em All is a solid album.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best debuts by a band, not even just thrash, just any sort of metal band or any band. Kill 'Em All is just solid.
Yeah, it was pretty much like the first thrash album. I know I think there was like there are other bands that came out like around that same time, and it could be argued. I think there was a band Exciter that came out like 3 months before that, but this is like the official first thrash metal, album so they kind of like started the genre. So that's why I think it's a really important album. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Slayer's debut must have been around there as well.
Slayer's debut came out in '83. It might have come out afterwards. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it might. I don't know. Let's have a quick look. Let's go wiki. Show No Mercy album by Slayer. Yeah, released December the 3rd. So that was after.
Oh yeah. So right after that.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe it was. Maybe.
But But there were other albums that came out before, like that Anvil Metal on Metal. I mean that was close to thrash. That was a heavy album that came out in '82. And like Judas Priest, they had some songs like Exciter or Accepts Fast as a Shark. That song is kind of like almost like thrash metal. If you listen to that those came out in like '81, '82. So they were kind of like they were influenced, but they kind of like created it. Yeah.
Awesome. Right, let's have a look. Metallica will always have my respect as Ride the Lightning is near perfect. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, Metallica always have my respect for not just that, but for getting me into music. I have been over this. I think it was it Jeff Witcher's Jeff Witcher's contest, and he said, what was your favorite band? And I went with Metallica for the fact that they basically made me want to be a musician. They got me into music, and all that stuff that I've got Metallica to thank for that. So Metallica definitely have my respect for this. Basically, I wouldn't be here right now doing this if it wasn't for Metallica. because so that's pretty much why I wanted to do this whole series really of the Metallica 40th anniversary of Metallica, because they really do mean that much to me. So that's why.
Yeah, me too. That Metallica was the band that got me into metal. You know, obviously I'm much older, so I was around in the '80s as a teenager, and you know, I first started listening to like Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses back then, but I heard Metallica, and they Master of Puppets that introduced me to like the heavier stuff, and that's why I started listening to Testament, Megadeth, Anthrax, all those bands. It was after Master of Puppets. Yeah. So that's why, this band is also important for me too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look to see. This Is Music says My Apocalypse is a pretty good song. Yeah, it is pretty good off Death Magnetic. My Apocalypse is the last song. That's pretty thrashy. It's pretty cool. Claim to have the first thrash album, their self-titled album from 1982. That's interesting.
I never heard a band called Stress from Brazil, but it could be. Yeah.
Never heard of them, no. I've never heard of them, but you know, Tom does know his obscure metal.
Oh, cool.
If you check out his channel, he shows a lot of obscure 80s metal a lot of the time.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to watch some of the stuff. Yeah.
Mark G saying Master of Puppets changed my life. Yeah, that's the same with me. That was my first album. Pie face, Metallica, Slayer. That's all I wrote on school desks.
Yeah,
that's cool. Oh, there must be like somewhere them old school like desks, and someone must have like put the Metallica logo or the Slayer or like the Anthrax face thing on the old things.
No, I remember people used to like we had these wooden desks. I don't know how they were in your school, but these wooden desks, people would like carve like band logos into the desks.
That's cool.
And Guitar Hero, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's an awesome game. I used to play it a lot.
That's cool. I never really got into it. I don't know. It's maybe it's like a maybe it's like a generational thing where it first come in, I was sort of maybe a little too young to get into it. I never really got into music till I was a little older than that. You know, I was sort of
the Guitar Hero came out like 2000s.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I already knew how to like play guitar, so like once I picked it up, I was like if you play like the first time you play, like you're gonna be good at the game, and you'll probably be playing at like advanced level, because it's basically, you know, you're so used to going up and down the strings and the frets, and it's just like 4-5 buttons, so it's pretty simple if you're a guitarist. Yeah.
If I was ever to play the game, I'd have to get a special left-handed one. I don't fancy playing right-handed. I'd have to play left.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. All right, here we go. The 80s stuff is legendary. Yeah. First real difficult riff I learned was Jump in the Fire. Yeah, that riff is quite hard. It is a pretty cool riff. The opening riff to Jump in the Fire is pretty tricky. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Testament. Yeah, talk about carving the logos into the desks. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's what. Yeah, I like what Mark's just put. Yeah, that's how you know when the band had a good logo, when it was carved in a school desk. Okay. Here we go. Merciful Metal. Tom's put a good question in. When's it a good time for a band like Metallica to call it quits? I don't know. It's a really tough one, that, because it's like they're still doing pretty well as they are. I mean, they're still performing at a pretty good level.
Yeah, I think
they have a drive.
I think they're not that old. I mean, they're in their like late 50s. So, I mean, I think they still have their energy. I think like once they get to like that like Iron Maiden age, where like they're like late 60s, early 70s, they might start to slow down and maybe like start putting out some more like proggy albums, or kind of like do what like Iron Maiden's doing, where they kind of like slow down. But I think we got Rolling Stones that they're still touring, and
yeah, they're still going.
But the thing is with Metallica, yeah, it's like fast music, so I think at some point it might be a little difficult to play as they age,
Yeah, that's it. Like,
yeah.
I remember Jason Newsted when Dave Ellison got fired for Megadeth, and everyone was saying Jason Newsted's going to take over. And Jason Newsted turned around and said, "I can't even play Metallica songs anymore. I don't know whether his hands are so messed up he can't even play Metallica songs anymore." So I was thinking, well, that rules him out because Megadeth are way more technical than Metallica. So if he can't play Metallica, he definitely won't be able to play Megadeth. See Brendan Von Doom's just join the chat. Brendan Von Doom, how you doing, man? Justice was the first one I had on cassette back in the day. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Right, okay. So, anything else to say in here? I agree with Mark. They should retire now. That's funny. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see Metallica again, maybe one more time, maybe two more times before they decide they want to retire. One time is not enough for me. I'd have to see them again at least another one time. Maybe if they do a new album next year, they'll be doing a massive tour, so might be able to see them again. For that. Dave Ellison got sacked because he was getting the cover art for it. Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a reload. Will we get to the Unforgiven 17? Oh dear! I'll tell you what, I just love the banter. Everyone just taking a piss, man. It's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, Unforgiven 17. Well, who knows? Who booming knows? Maybe on their next album, every song might be called The Unforgiven.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Just looking through that would be pretty unforgivable if they done 17 Unforgivens.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they released a couple of good. Well, yeah. I mean, this was good.
Cool, you got that, yeah.
Yeah, I got the deluxe.
Oh, you got the 3-disc? Yeah, I only have the 2-disc.
Yeah.
I really like that Deep Purple cover. When a Blind Man Cries, that one's on there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they do a few. Well, like I said earlier about the Lords of Summer, that's the first track. They perfected it for this.
And I think they did that Ronnie James Dio.
Yep.
It's like a medley, yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie Rising medley, when a Blind Man Cries. And also they do a cover of Iron Maiden's Remember Tomorrow off their first album. That was actually the first time I ever heard that song. And that kind of made me want to go and buy that album because of that song. And honestly, I think the Metallica version is a little bit better than the Maiden one. I know they change it up a little bit, but I think it's brilliant, that cover. And then on here they do all the rest are live versions. So they do Helpless, Hit the Lights, Four Horsemen, Ride the Lightning, Fade to Black, Jump in the Fire, From the Bell Tolls, Creeping Death, Metal Militia, and Hardwired. Pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. They might do another couple of albums before they decide to call it quits. I mean, why not? If they get some good, creative juices going, they might want to put another album out. Maybe another 2. I don't know.
I think at a minimum we'll probably get one more. I don't think they want to end off with Hardwired, but yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
How much would a ticket cost? Oh, Christ knows. They usually are. I don't know. They're definitely not 200 quid. I don't know where they got that from, or $200. They're definitely not that. But yeah, I mean, well, but that's the thing. Bands nowadays, they get a lot of their money from like outside, not just like album sales. They get a lot from merch, and they get a lot from gigs, like tickets and stuff like that. That's where they get the majority of their money now, because of streaming sites and that. They don't really get that money from, or they don't get a lot of money from album sales anymore. So they got to make their money somehow. So that's why ticket prices have gone up so much. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the last time I saw them in 2016 was, I don't know, I paid like the equivalent of like $80 US, so something like that. So I guess that's a normal price. Yeah. Ghost.
This is music says Call of Cthulhu. That's one of my favorite Metallica songs of all time. I love that. One of my favorite songs of all time. Absolute genius, that song. Brilliant. I don't want to get any more juices going after the Reload cover. There was enough juices flowing there. Enough juices flowing. Well, yeah, they don't want to talk. I don't know. I mean, when you're Metallica, you can kind of pick and choose who you want to play with, and you can sort of decide how long you want to play for. A lot of their shows are about 2.5 hours anyway, so but I can see why. I can't remember who done a thing on that, a video they were saying about that, like Metallica, they don't get enough bands to, they don't support enough up and coming bands when they play shows. But I don't know, Metallica just do what they want. They don't really care. They just do what they like. Right. Okay. We've been going for nearly 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I haven't really got anything much else to say. If nobody else. No.
No, I'm fine. If you want to wrap it up, I'm cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so yeah, we'll probably call it a day. I was thinking it was going to be roughly around sort of an hour and a half, between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So we're sort of in that area right now.
Yeah.
So this has been our stream celebrating Metallica's 40th anniversary. After the fact, I'd like to know what everyone thought of this idea, going through like the history and story of bands. Maybe hopefully in the future, would you like to see this sort of similar thing with different bands? Not Metallica, maybe like Megadeth, or I don't know, Guns N' Roses or Aerosmith, or I don't know, Slayer, Slipknot, whatever band, you know, I think that'd be really, really cool. Yeah, everyone who's been watching this, thanks ever so much for watching and for, you know, commenting in the chat and that. And massive thanks to John for wanting to do this with me and for coming in last minute. It was absolutely brilliant. I'm really appreciative of that. Yeah, so for those who might be interested, tomorrow at the same time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, I'm doing a Halloween live stream, which is going to be a little bit more to how I normally do streams, just answering some questions and playing some music and, yeah, talking about some other stuff. So that should be cool. Yeah, so that's been this stream. Until the next one, we'll see you later. Awesome.
All right.
Right. Bye. And broadcast.